Welcome in Braves Today, bravestoday.com, all brought to you by Active Wealth Management. Visit annuity360.net for your free book. Ford will send that to you. He is Lindsay Crosby. I am Ben Taylor. And Lindsay, I'm going to get a lot of flack from this, and Phillies fans are going to be so upset. This is exactly what we expected as far as the loss coming, the first game in the series back in Philadelphia. They were supposed to win.
When we gave our predictions before the series started, you said Braves in 5, I said Braves in 4, and it was because there was no way you were going to win the first game back in Philadelphia.
Thank you.
When the series got back there. I just thought Atlanta was going to go 2-0 at home, and you thought they were going to go 1-1. But like the Braves coming out for this game, the first game in Citizens Bank Park against your division rival, because the Marlins are the Marlins, they're a plaything. The first game against your division rival, like it was like when the Atlanta Falcons played in New Orleans in the first game back in the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina. Like the Falcons walked out there for the coin toss, and it's the Falcons captains, and on the other side, it's the Saints captains. And it's these kids from the local elementary school. And there's 2 former presidents. And there's a marching band. And there's no way the Falcons were going to win that game. And they got destroyed. Same thing tonight. There was no way the Braves were going to win this game. And they didn't. And to me, like the takeaways here, and we wrote all the takeaways on BraveToday.com, but the big takeaway is you didn't use your high leverage arms, right? You got a couple innings out of Elder. You let him go a little too long. You used Tonkin, you used Hand, you used AJ Smith-Shawver, you used Isabel Hernandez. You didn't use AJ Minter. You didn't use Rizal Iglesias. You didn't use Pierce Johnson. You didn't use Joe Jimenez. And so going into tomorrow, it's a rematch of game 1. So you have Spenser Strider. They have what ended up being, in essence, a bullpen game. And they use Strom, they use Dominguez, they use Ryan Kirkering, and then they use Michael Lorenzen. So they used some of their high leverage guys tonight. Atlanta did not. So you're set up if Strider can do what he did last week on Thursday from an offensive perspective, from a pitching perspective, you should be in a good place to win game 1 or to win game 4. Gosh.
I know. Game 1 in Philly is what you want to say. And the reason being is because everybody that sits there and they go, oh, your Braves homers, blah, blah. No. We called this. We said this. Go check the tape. Lindsay, as you said.
By the way, Phillies fans, glad you guys found us again. You didn't show up after game 2. I don't know what happened there, but I'm glad you guys found us again for game 3. Thank you for that.
By the way, all the chirping from the Phillies fans that the luck this and luck that and blah, blah, blah.
It's very quiet.
Yeah, I will say. But we called this. Now, I did expect them to pick up or put up a bigger fight than what they did.
Yeah.
However, the Phillies, they kind of leveraged their home field advantage, leveraged their, I guess, inertia of being inside
momentum
themselves to I mean, Harper was lights out. Now, I say the word Harper and I say the name Harper because I have to address it. I have to address
I wrote about this on the site. I know what you're going to address. Yeah.
The Orlando Arcia thing. I don't know why Harper is buying into this and everybody's made a big deal out of this. Orlando Arcia seems to be the one guy that is not bought in and into this whole hate Harper deal. And Arcia, even tonight, after Harper hit his home run and stared down Arcia just kind of looked at him like, what are you doing? Like,
he didn't know why he was getting a stare down and getting booed. He didn't understand what was going on. Okay, so as somebody who covers the team, who's watched lots of press conferences and media gaggles and things like that, Orlando Arcia doesn't talk around the media in English. Mm-hmm. And it's not just when he's being talked to by the media. Like if they're asking him questions, yes, he has a translator there with him. But If they're asking questions in the locker room, he gets the heck out of the way. And a lot of Latin players are like this. They're very specific about, if I'm going to be talking around the media, I'm going to do it in Spanish, and I'm going to have a translator there so that I can make sure that I am understood. He speaks very little English.
Like they literally protect themselves. Lindsay.
Yes,
like
they literally protect themselves.
Everybody goes, why do you have a translator? Why do you not speak English? This is why they don't do it. They don't want to be taken out of context.
And the fact, okay, so the report comes from Jake Mintz, who is half of the Cespedes Family Barbecue podcast and is a writer on Fox Sports. The report comes from him, and supposedly reporters were completely, the room was full of reporters.
Yes.
Reporters are circling the room was, I think, the exact quote. And no one on the Braves beat, no one on the national beat, no one reports this quote but Mintz. No one says this. Like David O'Brien, Braves writer for The Athletic, Justin Toscano, the AJC, Mark Bowman at MLB.com. None of the national folks say
Our
this.
friend Kelly Kroll, who's
Kelly
in there
Kroll
constantly.
She acknowledges this on Twitter on Wednesday, and she says, I'm going to read you the tweet. Here's my take as someone who is around this club daily. Arcia's locker is sandwiched between Albies, Acuna, Ozuna, and Rosario, and very rarely is he not talking in Spanish. He always uses a translator when being quoted directly. Bryce Harper is also the guy who made sure to tell Acuna to keep playing his game after shade was thrown his way in Philly. I think he'll know how to interpret this. And her implication, I'm not going to speak for her, but what it sounds like she's implying, he'll know how to interpret this made-up quote. Wow. There's very little evidence that Orlando Arcia actually said this. It's out of character. No one else has verified it. And yet now he has become the villain, public enemy number one in Philadelphia, for something that he probably doesn't even know he's accused of doing. It's not fair to him, the person. That's not why Atlanta lost. Atlanta lost because they threw Bryce Harper 2 sliders middle, yeah. And then, just gave up 6 home runs. That's why Atlanta lost.
Yeah.
But Orlando Arcia deserves better than for Jake Mintz to make up an article about him, specifically choose a player that speaks very little English, which honestly sounds a little bit racist to do, and to put it out onto foxsports.com.
Yeah.
So
that's for Fox to run with it. I'm a little disappointed in. And I guess it's because what you and I have been able to hear and been able to talk to, and the people we've been able to talk to behind the scenes, I don't like the fact that he's being made out to be a bad guy, because Arcia is not the bad guy. If you're going to look at a guy that you love, that you want, that the guy that you want to come over to dinner, the guy that you want to, take your daughter out on a date, he's one of those guys, and they have made him out to be a bad guy / a hater, and I just don't like it. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the way it's handled. I don't like the way it's been handled. And the fact that it's done from a person that, Lindsay, I told you this would be no different than, I don't brag about any sort of followers or how many we have, but this would be me making up a story about some other, I guess, professional ball player and somebody running with it. It's a made up story, and I don't like it. And I feel bad for Arcia because he's having to deal with it. And then the fact that Bryce Harper's buying into it, that makes him just as bad as the guy that reported it, in my opinion.
And I don't know for a fact if Bryce Harper knows it's true or not. I honestly don't. He may legitimately think it's true. He may know it's not true and just know, hey, this is great motivation, a great way to galvanize my guys. And it's the postseason, so he's like, whatever. I don't know. It's frustrating as a Braves fan. Again, this is not why Atlanta lost. Atlanta did not lose because Jake Mintz, supposedly, the lawyers have weighed in here, supposedly made up a quote about Orlando Arcia. but it's also not fair to Orlando Arcia. And honestly, it's kind of embarrassing on Fox Sports' part that now they're associated with this. And so I'm just frustrated because Orlando is such a good person and he's being painted to be a villain and something, and he's not that kind of guy. It'd be different if you were like, yeah, Marcelo Zuna said that. And there'd be people in Braves country who'd be like, you know what? Fine. Rip into that guy. We don't care. But like Orlando Arcia has been a model teammate, is a leader amongst the Latin players in the room, is seen as one of the veterans on this team. I mean, he's been in MLB for a while, and to kind of get drugged to the mud because Jake Mintz wanted to allegedly make up something to try to fire up his team that didn't need it for Game 3. That's frustrating. So
and as I told somebody the other day, I said, "This is not John Rocker. What are we doing?" Like this, completely different ball game. So, hey, we gotta we gotta get to a point where I gotta thank Ford helping us out. Active Wealth Management. As if you want to get your free book today, please do so. Please go online and do it at annuity360.net. He wants each and every Braves fan to have a chance to get his book, Annuity 360, for free. Imagine getting a copy of a valuable resource without spending a dime. And all you got to do is go to a website, annuity360.net, provide your contact information, and you can get that free book. Plus, you can also check out some other things because he's got a website as well as he's got his show that he does on activewealth.com. You can go to activewealthshow.com. But if you want the book, you can go to annuity360.com for more information and get your free book today at Annuity 360. Ford would love to help you out. All right. So we move past the Arcia thing, and then we move on to let's get back to what the Braves have got to do. And that is outscore opponents, because they did not hit the ball well again this time. Now, we expected it, but still did not hit the ball well again in Philly.
Yeah, they had 10 hits, only came out with 2 runs. Atlanta went 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position and left 11 on base. And I think the big difference when you look at what Philly did and what Atlanta did, because Philly wasn't amazing in those scenarios either. Philly was 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but they only left 5 on base because they hit 6 home runs. Atlanta just never really seemed to break through with that big hit. They had 1 extra base hit in the game, and that was a Ronald Acuna Jr. double. Yeah, and that was his first double of the first hit of the postseason. Other than that, Atlanta had 1 2-out RBI. That was Arcia's, and again 2 for 7 runners in score position. Left 11 runners on base and struck out 10 times. And for a team that all across the board significantly cut down their strikeouts in the regular season, it's very obvious that Philly has figured out that this team struggles with velocity and velocity up in the zone. And so there's just been so many times when Philly has been able to get swings and misses and strikeouts that other teams have not been able to. And there's not an easy fix here. Like, the Braves pitching in Game 1 was good enough to win, and they didn't win. The Braves pitching today, there's a whole conversation. I'm going to write that up for Braves Today about Bryce Elder being in too long. You should have had a reliever warming up after Castellanos homered. Before you could even get to Schwarber and Harper and all of that. But like, the bullpen, for the most part, had been good enough in this series. The starting pitching outside of today, for the most part, had been good enough. And the offense just didn't show up. And I don't know how you fix this. It's just, there's a video I use a lot on Twitter and in our Discord and things like that. And it's of Vaughn Grissom in AAA right before the season. He did not win the starting shortstop job. And they asked him how he was feeling about that, how he responded about that. And he said, and he quoted what he was told by Ron Washington. And in essence, it was, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, play better. And that's what Atlanta has to do. Atlanta has to play better. There's no magic formula here. Yeah, that layoff sucked and all of that, and not getting reseeded and playing an easier team, that's whatever. That's bad. But at the end of the day, you got to play better. And Atlanta's 1 game away from elimination, and the only real fix is you got to play better. But at least you've got Spenser Strider on the mound. So theoretically, you don't have to worry as much about your starting pitching as you did for this game.
Well, I guess my question next is, and I put that in the notes that I sent to you. Now what? Hit better, pitch better, combo of the two. What does Atlanta have to do in order to make themselves be better for this next game?
I'm going to combine that and the next thing you had where you said that Philly fans were chanting, "We want Strider." And it's like, okay, Spenser Strider pitched on Saturday, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. Do you really want Spenser Strider? Is that really what you want? You feel confident that Spenser Strider is going to be able to give you enough to win. But the offense has to be better. That's all there is to it. Ronald Acuna Jr., again, did not have a hit in the postseason until tonight. Atlanta has, I think, 2 home runs in the first 3 games. And that is not the team that you saw win 100-plus games this season. It's a team that was built around home runs. They did not have the benefit of the juice ball. And yet they tied the 2019 Twins for most home runs in a season. So you have to feel good that you're going to have a decent performance from Spenser Strider. Other than the one postseason start last year when he was dealing with an oblique injury, he's coming off the oblique injury. He's been pretty good against the Phillies.
Yeah.
But the offense has to be better. You're going to get Ranger Suarez. You're probably going to get a bunch of relievers like you did in game 1, and you've got to figure it out because you didn't figure it out in game 1. And if you don't figure it out here, you're going home. And you have to hope that a little bit of that pressure, that knowing that, hey, we've got to come through in the clutch. You've got to hope that just helps Atlanta turn it on, because if not, you're going home.
Yeah. Lindsay and I picked the Braves getting beat in Philly, so I think it's phenomenal that everyone the Philly fans are like, see, do this, do that. Whatever, man. Just get out of the mentions. I will say this though.
Thank you for the views though. We make money off that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I will take them coming in and taking not just the views, but chirping at us.
Yeah.
But the MVP chance of Harper. I guess I'm shocked at, because don't get me wrong, I love Harper. He's one of those guys where I've said numerous, even dating back to when he was with Washington, I was like, you know what? I'd love to have him on my team. I hate him playing against him, but I'd love to have him. But the fact that they're doing the MVP chance, I don't think they realize that a sleeping giant sits across at Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, and if they get beat and the series is over and we go home for the season, fine. However, Atlanta has a very good crop of what is sitting inside that I know that the Phillies fans love what they have, but the Braves on paper are way better when you look at it.
Phillies fans are going to hate this. That's where luck comes in. That's where, and I don't mean luck as in, yes, he was able to hit that pitch. That's not what we're talking about. You don't understand how luck works. But in the context of baseball, the variance between your everyday performance and what comes out on the field in any given game is luck. Sometimes, Bryce Harper is one of the best players of this generation.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. But an example of luck is not just Bryce Harper hitting a home run, but Bryce Elder missing that egregiously on the slider. That is what luck is. And the shorter a series, the more that call it randomness if you want. If that makes you feel better than saying luck. Call it the randomness. The randomness of where a pitch misses. By the way. Yeah, thank you. The randomness of where a pitch misses, the randomness of when a fielder steps forward to try to back up a play and where he is, the randomness of if Bryce Harper slips or not on his way to turn around to run back to first. All of those little random things can push a game or a series one way or another. And Atlanta, the thing that I've noticed, has consistently come out on the wrong side of a lot of those random things. over the course of 20 games, that would even out. Over the course of 10 games, that would even out. But over the course of a 3 or 5 game series, you don't have time for that stuff to even out. And so Atlanta didn't get a lot of calls in game 1. Atlanta did not get hits. They crushed the ball and did not get hits for a good part of game 2. And in game 3, Atlanta put the ball in play a lot and got guys on, but could never do those consecutively, except for that one time they scored in the 3rd inning. And that is where the randomness and the luck of baseball come in. And Atlanta's got to power through it. They are, on paper, the better team. They won more games in the regular season. They have a better record against common opponents. They are the better team. But they are not getting the luck and the randomness in their favor. And either they power through and they win on Thursday and force a game 5, or they go home, and that's it. Like that's all there is to it. Philly fans aren't going to like us saying luck or randomness, but these two teams are very closely matched, and the random bounces of the ball, randomness is what decides a series like this when you have two teams that are very closely matched, and Philly's gotten a lot more of those breaks than Atlanta has.
It's one of those things where Braves fans need to accept the fact that they have a team that can come out of the gutter and do well, and hopefully they do so in order to take that last game in Philly. It's all been brought to you by Active Wealth Management. Visit annuity360.net for your free book. He is Lindsay Crosby. I am Ben Taylor. Regardless of what takes place in the next game, Lindsay and I will have a post pod to tell you more about it. Lindsay, as always, I greatly appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks.